I had one of my viewers bring up that there's also another paragraph in the PCA that has been highly misinterpreted, and that's about the sheath and when the sheath was found. And Brett Payne did not arrive until 4 p.m. And so there's several people misinterpreting that when he saw the sheath was when it was actually found. And there's nothing indicating that it wasn't seen before he arrived. So it would be very unusual that he was the first person to see it after 4 when he arrived. So let's take a look at that paragraph. Payne says, as I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonsalves and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. When viewed from the door, the sheath was later processed and had K-Bar USMC and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA, suspect profile left on the button snap of the sheath. Okay, if you look at that, it doesn't say he found it. It says he later noticed. That was during his walkthrough at 4 when he got there. So you had Idaho State police officers and Moscow PD that had already been there at the scene from when the call came in around noon on. So it's obvious one of them would have noticed it before Payne even arrived. He just saw it at that point during his walkthrough, but he never said he found it. So all the people that are saying that it wasn't found until his walkthrough at 4 are incorrect. Now let's look at Blaker's PCA just to see what Blaker said, because he got there around the same time as Payne. Blaker says, as I entered the bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonsalves and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I was later advised by ISP investigators they had located a tan leather knife sheath lying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had K-Bar USMC and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. So ISP is who told Blaker about the sheath. So that's another indicator that it was seen before Payne and Blaker even arrived. Now, we don't know 100% that it was found by the early officers there, but I think it's 99% certain it was, and we'll find out at trial. And we do know that there was body cam, because Blaker had referenced in his PCA that he knew about Murphy, because it was on the body cam of one of the first officers on the scene. So that sheath should be on body cam so that we can see exactly when it was found. Now, another thing that people keep getting wrong is they're saying that Kathy Mabbitt was never called to the scene until 5 o'clock. That's not true. She was called at noon, but protocol is for her not to go in until after the scene has been secured and the detectives have started their investigation. And Payne, as we know, didn't get there until 4. So Mabbitt didn't arrive until between 5 and 5:30, because protocol for her not to go in until after certain things have already been done. Here is an interview with her discussing that.
I got the call just a few minutes after noon that there were 4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first. So I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30. Well, law enforcement goes through and looks for any evidence, takes videos and pictures of everything in there, and they'll start talking with people. So I don't really need to be there for that. They can't move the bodies. We have forensic pathologists, and we contract with Spokane to do that.
Now, I want to circle back to one more thing with the sheath. I just heard another live earlier tonight, and this isn't the first time I've heard this. I've actually heard this from several other creators, that law enforcement stated they found the sheath later and that it was placed. That's not law enforcement that said that, folks. That was from a filing by the defense. let's read what was written about the sheath in that defense filing. This was a defense objection to the state's motion for the protective order back on June 22nd of 2023. So the defendants wrote on November 13th, 2022, law enforcement responding to a 911 call found Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin deceased. Law enforcement later found a K-bar knife sheath placed next to Ms. Mogan on her bed. Here is who wrote that, folks. Jay Logston. So, the second chair on this case. Not law enforcement. Not anybody that was actually at the scene that saw the sheath. What that is posturing by the defense to try to plant a seed in the mind of potential jurors that sheath was planted. By him using the words later found and placed, that's to put doubt, reasonable doubt, and to make people think that the sheath could have been planted. But that was not worded by law enforcement. If you read the probable cause affidavits, neither of them say that they found it later or that it was placed. And the state's filing for the protective order also doesn't say that it was found later or that it was placed. But I've been seeing a lot of people trying to claim that the placed and the found later came from law enforcement. And that's just not true. So I hope this cleared up some more misconceptions that have been floating around about this case.